Welcome to the Oakdale Parks and Recreation Commission. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, let's, we have a roll. Everyone's here except for Glenn. And then our two new commissioners, welcome, Jen and Kari. Thank you for being here. Did the rest of the commissioners, Jen and Kari, you will abstain from this vote? Did you guys have a chance to look at the minutes? Yep. Everything looked good? Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of September 19th, 2023? Motion by Mark, second.
Second motion.
Jan, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right. Any old business? Anyone? Okay. New business. Again, we have our new commissioners, Kari Moore and Jen Schorr. Welcome.
Thank you.
Glad to have you. We finally got a full bench up here. We haven't had one of those in a while. So, and I'd like to welcome everybody here. This is great. It's good to see everyone. It really is. It really is. It's usually talking to chairs, so that's nice.
They're here to see you, Steve.
Yeah, all right, all right.
You're a celebrity now.
Yeah. So let's get right into it. We have the Oakdale Pickleball Club here. They're going to do a little presentation. So I'd like to have Sara Scott come up and introduce yourself and let us know what you got going.
Hi, my name is Sara Scott. I've been an Oakdale resident since 2006 and a part of the Oakdale Pickleball Club ever since it started. So I'm an avid pickleball player and love it. And we're a growing club. And we just wanted to talk to you a little bit today about some of the needs that we see at our courts. And so just wanted to go through some things with you. So the Oakdale Pickleball Club, like I said, was founded 10 years ago, 2013, and it started with 29 members. This was actually made, this presentation was made about a month ago. We actually have more members than what's on the slide. We have 192 members. So we've increased by over 50% from 2022. Pickleball continues to be very popular. It's one of the fastest growing sports in America with more than 4.8 million American players. So at Tanner's Lake Park, that's where we do play. We have 4 dedicated courts. And we do often have more than 30 people playing pickleball with our club. So each court holds 4 people at a time. And we have 4 dedicated courts, so that's 16 people, plus we do have lines on the tennis court. Here's a picture of a couple of our players. Having fun, of course. So, get right down to it. So the request that we have is we want to help to accommodate the growth and the active players that we do have in our club. And another additional thing that would be really nice for the city too, with making some of the improvements, is that it would help to enable 50 more students to be involved in the Oakdale City pickleball lessons that they do provide. So the request that we have, we would request that the courts be resurfaced. So just a few examples of some of the issues that are happening with the courts. The north side of the courts especially are bubbling up. It can be viewed very easily when it rains. Also, there's many cracks on the courts, and with the bubbling up, the surface of the courts is cracking off. It's coming off. We would also ask that the courts, when they're resurfaced, they do get replaced. The tennis court gets replaced. We hardly ever do see any tennis players on the courts during our scheduled pickleball play times. So the way that the courts are set up is half the court are the 4 dedicated pickleball courts, and then the other half is still an established tennis court. So if we did change the tennis court over to 2 more pickleball courts, that would allow us to have 8 more people playing. We also would ask that we would be able to have a storage container at the courts that's lockable, so we could put balls there for our players, also brooms and squeegees when it rains so that we can sweep off the courts to get them dry and also to clean off leaves and sand. Did I skip ahead? Sorry, I skipped ahead a slide. So we do understand that the city's budget for 2024 is nearly final or final. So we were wondering if our request can be a priority for 2025. We're also asking if the lockable storage container, if that is something that we could have now for this season in 2023. The Pickleball Club is willing to pay for this lockable storage container, and we would just need some guidance on the type of storage container, if we could purchase that, and where we could place it. We're also wondering, in the meantime, before the budget for 2025, if the pickleball lines on the tennis court that are there could be redone for next spring, for 2024. The pickleball lines on the tennis court have faded away. They were a blue paint, and they're very, very hard to see, so it is hard for people to use that 5th court on the tennis court for pickleball. So one thing that the club was wondering is if we would be able to have a name of a contact for the club that we could communicate with about potential improvements. We would like it to be one person that we could communicate with that could provide us with updates about our request, and also a person that we can communicate with to give details about our request. So thank you so much for letting me talk to you today about the Pickleball Club and the request that we have for the Tanner's Lake courts. We do really like playing there. There's a lot of great things about where we play, with plenty of parking and a good family park. We're just trying to help to provide more courts for our pickleball players. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Nice job. Is there anyone else that would like to say anything while you're here? Okay. Commission, any questions for Sara? I'm sorry.
I wasn't anticipating.
Could you step up? Yeah.
Come on, Lita.
My name's, I know Glenn a little bit from Lions Club. My name's Lita Newman, and I've been a pickleball player and learned to play pickleball with the Oakdale group. I've been a resident since 1995 in Oakdale. So we've come before the commission and other groups in the past with a lot of requests for pickleball improvements. Not too much has happened. We were really happy when we got to move off of the cement from the hockey court to the paved courts. So that was really helpful that we got that improvement. That's great. But we really hope that now, with more and more club members, joining and more people playing, that you guys will really consider improvements. And I understand that Willowbrook is going to have courts, so it'd be great if that could be more than just 4 courts there, and that maybe the club could play there, if that's going to be an option. I don't know what your plans are really for Willowbrook, but anything that you can do for us to just make nice courts and have them be safe for us so that we're not slipping and falling and tripping. And just to encourage people. Most of us, I think, live in Oakdale, but even people that don't live in Oakdale, then it's the people coming in that use, the businesses in Oakdale and have lunch in Oakdale, things like that. So anyhow, thank you for letting me talk too.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Anyone else? Hi.
Hello. I'm Kathleen Schmidt, and I am also a member of the Oakdale Pickleball Club. And what I would respectfully ask the council to do is when you consider the request that Sara outlined, if you would think about the tennis courts that are available here, and they're lighted and they're 3 courts and they're dedicated solely for tennis. And I request that when you consider our request that you think about making Tennis Lake specific only to pickleball, given that there are tennis courts available and they're not as heavily used as the pickleball courts are.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Hello.
Hi, I'm Vicki Sarner, and I'm also a member of the Oakdale Club. And I just wanted to mention there are other clubs that play pickleball besides our club at the courts, right? Yeah, and there's some other people that offer lessons and stuff there, so it does get used heavily.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just my addition.
Yeah,
Thank you.
wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good information. Yes, sir.
My name is Scott Renstrom. I'm also a part of the Oakdale Pickleball Club. I just want to piggyback on this. I live over by Eastside Park, and there are 2 tennis courts there. Very seldom get used for tennis, and I'm not going to say knock them down to build pickleball courts. But I would say that I have visited the courts, and they're in really bad shape.
There.
So I don't care if you left them as, tennis courts, but then also line them for pickleball courts. I went by today, and both courts are being used for pickleball. So if we're going to resurface Tanner's, it would be really nice if we could resurface Eastside Park.
Okay.
They're really bad.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? This is great. All right. Thank you so much. This is excellent. We do appreciate that, and that's why we have these meetings. So anyone on the commission have questions?
I do.
Sure. Jen, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jan.
Oh, you're new. Why don't you go?
Well, first of all, thank you all so much for being here. This is, as you know, our first commission meeting, and you've set the standard for all the other groups, right? I expect to come in each month now and see the room full. So thank you guys so much for being here. But I do have questions. I was just wondering, is there a percentage of the club that is Oakdale residents? Right up, yeah, Sarah. Sure.
So before this meeting, we did look at that because it was requested, and 31% of the members are Oakdale residents currently.
Thank you so much. And then what listening to some of the other comments, I think I've got an idea of it. Let's just assume that I am wildly ignorant on pickleball court needs. But what are some of the other alternatives if these aren't able to be implemented, if we aren't able to resurface some of these? There are no alternatives is what I'm seeing. Okay, so go ahead.
So like in the meantime, or just any other alternatives?
Right.
Okay. So some other alternatives, I mean, the surface is breaking down, which, we can't prevent that. That's weather and just age. Another alternative could be to put lines on both sides of the tennis net, and then we would need to put up temporary nets every single time people played, which is every single day of the week, multiple times a day. So that could be another alternative. And that also goes back to needing a storage container for extra equipment at the park.
Have you picked out what an acceptable storage container might look like?
Well, it would have to be large because we would want to store brooms in it. And we use like buckets, like Ace Hardware buckets. And then we fill them with balls and then we put them throughout the court. So I guess I would defer to, you want to talk? I don't really know the size of the container.
I can, if you're looking at that, and Oakdale Athletic Association, we had put equipment boxes behind some of the fences at the fields. And they came out of, Northern Equipment or what is, do you recall, Mark, where we got some of those? But yeah, there's one over in Maplewood, or they call it White Bear, by that Planet Fitness over there in Cub. There's one there, there's one in Woodbury. So those are, and there's enough, because we put screeds in there and
As long, yeah, as
brooms
long
and
as you,
stuff like
you
that.
put it like a squeegee in there and a broom,
They would fit,
and
yep.
if we were doing the temporary nets thing, they're about the same, they're a little shorter than a broom. so
They
it would
fold
work
up
for that.
and-
And they
right,
fold
yeah.
up, and it's
Those
about
boxes
that
would
big
work.
around, about that long.
So just right over at Walton, if you look behind the backstops, you can see the equipment boxes. East Side too has one, and they are metal.
Steve, can I touch on this? Sure. So I'll share this with you. So if you guys, all of you members, if you're, next time you're down there on the backstop at Tanner's, they're called job boxes. So you'd see them at construction sites. That one at Tanner's in the last 6 years has been cut out of the concrete and stolen, along with Horseshoe Park at the same time. Originally, the first time they took it, we lost a pitching machine that was in there. Alls we store in there now is bases. And I would just hate to see, we would have to mount it somewhere, it's gotta be outside the court areas. I would hate to see, I don't wanna sound negative on it, but I'll guarantee you down there it's gonna happen. We went through 3 of them and they're about $1,250 a piece, just the job box alone, so, yeah, go ahead, Chuck.
Jeff, do you think if we had something of low value, do you think that would still be attractive?
I don't wanna see, I want something that's gonna work for you.
Right,
Number
right.
one,
Well, for example, so once
I
once
think
you
it'll just
put in-
make them, we have a lot, I hate to say it, we have a lot of, not more vandalism, a lot of graffiti, a lot of, it's down there at night. There's not a lot of houses that face it.
Right.
And I would just hate to see your club lose equipment. And I know those job boxes, that's why we use the heavier ones, because they're
harder to
sort of
transport.
anti-theft, unless they cut them right off the concrete. We had them bolted down with 5/8" bolts.
Okay, for the
So-
ones where you have just the bases in there, are they still?
Same box. Now, this one has lasted, they haven't touched the one currently for 4 years.
Okay.
They haven't. So we haven't had any issues. The one at Horseshoe, it was the same time. They stole 3 of them there. They 5/8" bolts, 6 bolts into concrete. They sawzalled them all right off and took the whole box, which I'm thinking I don't know if there's, we don't keep tools in there, but the biggest thing of value was the pitching machine is what we lost on the original one.
Yeah, and we would,
Yeah, so
We don't
we just
propose
quit
putting
storing
it
it in there. Now it's basically, it was bases, rakes, couple tools for digging out bases, but they still take them. So we'll just have to find something that's gonna work in an area where it's gonna work and it's gonna be secure. So, because I hate to see you guys lose your equipment. I don't want that to happen.
yeah, well, brooms aren't that hard to read, squeegees aren't that hard.
No, but it's, the boxes aren't cheap. And I'm afraid if we put a cheaper version or a cheaper box or storage container, it's gonna make it that much easier for them to get in there. But I'll work with you. We'll find something. I'm more than happy to help you and do what we need to do down there. I'm just afraid of that taking place. I don't wanna sound negative on it, but
I mean, it'd
be aware of it,
It'd be a
because
shared risk.
we've been lucky for 5 or 6 years. It hasn't happened since, so. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, very good point.
I just have a question. So can anyone tell me when Willowbrook might have their courts done?
That's my question.
Because I'm thinking maybe if the club could move there, that might be a better option.
The Willowbrook is probably not, 2025, I think, was just mentioned at the earliest right now. And as we're talking about that, 2025 is what we're talking about here. 2024 is done, so just know that. Just know that. So hold on one sec. And so we'll go with 2025 at looking at this. And I think the first thing that we'll talk and recommend is the stripes, the blue stripes they were talking about, and look at that. Or whatever, but the blue stripes, but restriping
Steve,
that.
can I touch on that quick?
Yes,
shortly
yes.
When you're done? So on the blue stripes, so when they redid those courts, they'll do the green, then the white stripes. That's all sealed. The blue stripes wore because they put that sealer over the white and the green. That was done afterwards. So the sealer wasn't put on it, and that's why. I definitely agree with you, that needs to be redone. That needs to be looked at. Unless we're gonna go a different route and add the 2 courts on each side. Sorry, 4 more courts, but yeah, it definitely needs, we were down there at 5 o'clock today and toured it, so, definitely the blue is,
At one time, and it helped a lot.
Yeah.
But that only lasts till it rains.
but that's why at War, when they originally do the courts, they put a clear sealer over it, and that's what locks that paint in, and the blue was done after the fact, so it was added after the projects.
Thanks.
So,
Jan?
yeah,
I'm
sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, yeah, so my question has been always, what's going on with Willowbrook? Not only timeline, but how many courts would they maybe put in there? And
It's not that far yet. We're not in that
It's
far
really
in
not.
planning.
We had that schematic. I think there was 4 to 8 at that time on the schematic. And as Jeff mentioned, we're just not that far into
Yeah.
this yet.
but we're already looking at 2025, so.
Yeah.
But we haven't started that process. We're still working on the Commons Park or the main park in the center. That'll be next year. And then there'll be, we're looking at possibly 4 new parks in the next
Yeah.
3 or 4 years, so,
So,
yeah. Just 3 up there, and then we're looking at the one down on 4th Street where the transit hub will be over.
But I guess my point is, if there's money in the budget for those new parks, and pickleball is pretty positive that it might be a possibility.
Sure.
Yeah.
I just don't
Okay.
think they're that far we're not that far.
But when we're looking at
Yep,
our budget.
absolutely.
If we can find that information out and kind of find something that is suitable for the next year or so.
Absolutely.
And then,
Yeah, that's how the process works. It's just we're not that far.
we're not that far, and then when we talk about a CIP, that's our capital improvement plan. And that's 2025 is where the pickleball over in Willowbrook would start to happen at that time, once we get it all together. But as Jeff mentioned, we're a ways
Yeah, it's
away from
proposed. It's just not, there's nothing in
Yes, we're
concrete
not,
yet.
nothing in concrete on that design yet.
And
So
one of
those
our
are
council members can probably touch on that too, who knows more about it than
Yep. And
Councilman
so,
Morcomb.
so that's where we're at there.
Steve, you got a hand up here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Come on up.
My name is Rita Perkins, and I'm also a resident of Oakdale since 1998. To answer your question, or what's an alternative? I don't see an alternative. If we're going to play at Tanner's Lake, the alternative is we're going to get hurt because the court is not safe. It's not going to be safe. And so I think it's imperative that the surface gets fixed. I play at other courts around town. I play in Stillwater. I play in Woodbury. And Stillwater's had their courts redone twice, resurfaced. Woodbury's had theirs done in the last few years, like 2 or 3 times in the last 8 years. And I've been at Tanner's since we started playing pickleball there, and it's the same surface, and it's getting bad. And the alternative is people are going to get hurt if Tanner's isn't fixed.
Thank you.
Jeff, I feel like you know so much more. Is there anything about the resurfacing that you could share with us?
Not in the future, not like for next year, and we toured it. I'm down there daily, and the council was down there today, the mayor. It's glass. If it's a bad surface, it's all cosmetic. There's a couple cracks on the west on the tennis court side. I would be more than happy to meet you down there. Trip hazards, I don't know, Andy, if you want to touch on that.
Well,
I'm shocked to hear
choose-
that because we were just there 2 hours ago.
Jeff, I did stop there on my way from work this afternoon. I was down there around 4:30. We probably just missed
Yep.
each other. And yeah, and there was 4 people down there playing pickleball. And I asked them, I said, so, because they saw me, walking around, said, you must be inspecting. I said, yes, I am. So, and the one lady said, the court is really nice. I'm just saying, and it looked nice. Like Jeff said, it was glass, so, and agreed on the blue stripes,
Yep.
that has faded on the west side. So that's where we're at there. Yeah, Sarah.
So there is a difference when it rains than when it's dry. So I have some pictures if you'd like. Jeff, I can show you.
I think you sent, did someone
Yeah, I
send
sent
them
them.
today?
Yeah, and so it starts to bubble up when it's wet. And then if you step on that, those bubbling up spots, then that's where it chips off. So it's harder to see when it's dry what the surface problems are. It's much more evident when it's wet. So, thanks.
If I can speak?
Sure.
Okay, most of the places where the surface actually is deteriorating is on the north side.
Okay.
And they're pockmarks, they're about this big, and it's still playable. A lot of our concern is that that's going to progress through the winter once the moisture gets in underneath that surface.
Yep.
And then more of it's gonna come up and flake, and that's one of the reasons we're bringing it here to the.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you, but I don't see trip hazards down there
No,
at this
no,
point.
no, I don't see.
If it's cosmetic, it's cosmetic, but we have to be, and you guys are passionate about it, I totally agree with it.
I would say there's no tripping hazards, but it's maybe a minor thing.
But that's what I'm hearing right now, and we didn't see that. I
We
surely
don't
didn't
play
see it today.
pickleball, but right now, if the ball does hit those little depressions, it'll scoot off in the wrong direction.
That's, your input's great, I'm all for it, but, and you also have to understand, we have 29 other parks that, you know, it can't just be about one park. It's gotta be budgeted, and I
It
totally agree.
does have to be budgeted, and just so you know, I don't know if you watch any of these, and pickleball and volleyball have been main
Yes.
discussions here. And we have talked extensively in some meetings about where to add more pickleball. East Side was one of them also. So we are getting to that point. There's just no magic. We're gonna get her done right away, because there's always a budget we have to take care of, and we can make recommendations to the city council, and then they'll take it from there. So what we're here today is to see what the commission is willing to look at and recommend to the city council on when things can be done for tanners and, moving on from there. So we're going to talk up here. One last chance for the floor to talk. Anyone?
I just want to mention that,
Yeah.
So the one thing I wanted to mention is that what the city of Oakdale could consider is what other entities do, which is actually to generate some revenue from the pickleball courts. Woodbury charges. They charge a little bit more if you're not a resident than if you are a resident, and use that revenue to help to maintain and to fix up and to create new pickleball courts. Just a thought.
I agree. That was going to be, I agree. Basically, it's like an adult softball program, right? So, and it's basically a league that we can look into. So I'm on board with that. I like that, because maintenance is a big deal on any park and on any court and on any field. So we have to keep up that maintenance. And, this is the first time that when I've been here that pickleball club has been up here, and I appreciate that. And now we get to know how passionate, as Jeff said, you are. And that's excellent. That is excellent, and it's good to see. It's very good to see. So,
Can I offer one more?
okay.
Sorry. You are in competition with Woodbury, you're in competition with Stillwater, you're in competition with all the surrounding areas that do have pickleball. And as an alternative, what will happen is if they don't like the courts, if the balls don't behave correctly because there's little depressions in the surface, people will start to move away, and our numbers, instead of continuing to grow, will start to decline. And maybe that's not an issue for you, but if it is, that will happen.
Yeah, I agree. Because that's an issue in any in our youth sports and any type of sport or anything that it's always a competition between cities on bringing people in, keeping them there. It was a good point of them visiting establishments here. So we want that, we understand that. Okay. One more from the floor, and we'll need to move on.
So is there plans on? Oh, my name, Vince Scribner.
Hi, Vince.
Lived in Oakdale for 35+ years. Anyways, is there plans on patching what's already flaking up then, like they did last year, right? To help slow down, because apparently nothing's gonna happen next year.
Correct.
So can we prevent some of it,
Yeah,
slow
that-
it down?
That would be addressed in
Slow it
regular
down?
maintenance. That's not a budget
That's
item.
regular
Yeah,
maintenance, okay.
yes, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Had a question.
Jeff, or, yeah.
No, Jen
Glenn,
down there.
or-
I just have a question. When do you play there?
When do they not? They're passionate. They're an awesome group.
So there's actually 2 clubs that have established play and agreed upon times at Tanner's. So the Oakdale Pickleball Club, we play Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, afternoon, evening, like 4 to 6, 5 to 7, around that time. And then also Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday morning, 9 a.m. And then the other group, which is Oakland group, they play Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday mornings at 9. So every single morning, there's established play. There's also been some people that have been doing some lessons for people that want to get a little bit more skills building. And that was also some established play on some afternoons in the middle of the day, too.
Who is Oakland? Who's this other club?
So they used to play at Oakland Junior High.
Okay, over in Lake Elmo?
That's where they started. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then they came over to Tanner's and play on the opposite days that the Oakdale Club plays.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Sarah, can I ask you one question?
Sure.
Your first item after, well, the first request item that you have, I'm just trying to wrap my head around the statement, okay? And maybe it's just something easy, but why would fixing the courts enable 50% more students to attend lessons? Can't they attend the lessons now? Or are they just saying, no, I'm not coming to that place?
So not necessarily fixing the surface, but adding 2 more courts would enable more people to come to the lessons. And usually when you're in a lesson, you want to be playing and you don't want to be sitting around and waiting to play. So if there's more courts, more people can play at the lessons and more people can be enrolled in the lessons. So if you only have 4 established pickleball courts that can be used, that's 16 people that can be in an active lesson. If there are 2 more, then that is 24 people that can be in an active lesson.
Okay, so it's a time issue.
Well, it's a space issue. Space. So if there's only 4 courts, you can only have 16 players in a lesson. But if there's 6, you can have 24 players at the lesson. So it's more room for people to play on a court. For the number of courts. Yep.
All right,
Yep,
that's
yep.
good. I don't know anything about pickleball.
Okay. So, yeah. And
I've
then,
seen you guys playing. down
yeah,
there.
and I know Janet, didn't you come and play with us one time, a
Yep,
couple years ago?
Times, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
So,
always find the time, but I have played and I enjoy the game.
Yeah.
And that's why I have another question. This might be something that you want to stand.
okay.
Okay, so Skyview has resurfaced their tennis courts and striped them for pickleball. The school. So when you're saying like students, and I don't know whether you're thinking students of school age or just
No,
students
I'm thinking
of
about
pickleball.
students that sign up for the city lessons.
Okay, but what about, is there some kind of correlation between like Skyview and using those courts?
Sure.
Yeah.
Because we've actually investigated that, not with them, but with Tartan. So we did that years ago. Steve Krosky and I went over and we talked to them. And we said, is it okay if we use your courts? And they said, sure. We said, well, we'd like to schedule regular pickleball play. So, oh, you can't do that.
Okay.
If we're not using it, then you can use it. And that's the rub. When you have a club, you really want to have established play times that you tell people, if you come on Wednesday afternoon at 4 o'clock, you can play. If they can't rely on that, people just won't come.
Okay, so that answers that, thank you.
So did they mention weekends at all? I mean,
Yeah, Saturday we play and Sunday also.
but when you talked about Skyview,
For one, yeah, but,
we're tired.
yeah, but see, that would only give us 2 days that we could rely on for a schedule. We want to play every day, except for Friday.
All right, we'll close the floor. Thank you. All right, commission, we need to discuss, and what I would like to do is have a recommendation for 2025. Don't kill me. All right. 2025 that we go and down at Tanner's on the, we'll call it Court 2 for right now, is get that relined for the pickleball people. I'd like to have someone make a motion on that, if you agree, to have a motion on that.
You're saying 2025?
So recommend to the city council that at Tanner's Court 2 tennis court, that we line it for pickleball.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Very second. All in favor?
I'm just wondering, relining it, is that something that's simple that could be done?
There's no money in the budget for 2024 is closed. So we have to move to 2025.
We discussed that earlier.
Yep,
Yep, it all has to be 2025.
yep. It's got to be 2025. So we have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. So 2025 will get their reline.
Well,
Now-
we'll make the recommendation.
Or we will make the recommendation to the city council that they move forward on that. Is there any other recommendations the council or the commission would like to forward to the council?
I think we kind of got to wait to see what happens with Willowbrook, to see how much we want to dive into Tanner's here.
Okay.
So,
And just so you know, and I agree, but we have marked Tanner's in the past as the main park, other than the new development, that we really do want to improve on, all aspects of it. So, because it is, in my estimation, the premier park in Oakdale. It's on the water, it's just a gorgeous setting. So, we're going to get there, and I know we're in competition with other cities. We're well aware of that. But you got to understand there are steps to how we do this. So at this point, so no other commission.
My question would
Yeah,
be, do we want to investigate or look at what it would be like to charge? I know someone mentioned that they pay in other communities, similar to adult softball.
Yeah, would that be a staff?
That's something that staff can look
Yeah,
at, what other
That would be
cities are doing. Yep.
Staff on there, correct. Okay, yeah, very good. All right. Well, I think we're good. We will close this session, and I really appreciate everybody coming out here. Thank you very much. All right. So now, we are going to move ahead. We need an update. Jeff, you ready?
I'll wait till they leave.
Okay.
Give him a second.
Thanks, Sara.
Okay, I just,
Okay, we'll have our council liaison update from Jeff.
yeah, okay. Good evening, Commissioners. I'd like to welcome Kari and Jen to the commission. That's awesome to see they're got them on board, and
Absolutely.
hope they enjoy it. And I've been here this 10 years. That's the biggest meeting I've ever had. So you guys got broke in right away. So it's pretty great.
us.
I agree, the bar's
You
been
got
set.
thrown right into the mix. So, yeah, I'll just share the crew right now. We're busy. We're winterizing all of our irrigation systems and buildings, getting ready for what's coming. Fall sports is starting to wrap up. I think, well, with last weekend being canceled, I know soccer's got about, they were supposed to be done the end of this week, and then football had another week. That might be pushed back another week I had to close the fields
I'll let
for,
you know as soon as I know.
over the weekend, so, and we just reopened them today, so they were still pretty wet. Doesn't dry out very good when
How
40s,
has
but
Walton fared on the football?
pretty good.
Has
It's, yeah, they've been pretty, one thing with the OA that they've been very respectful about following it. Mark's been great communicating back and forth, so I appreciate that, Mark. Yeah, it's been great. And we'll be doing some aeration and some overseeding. We aerated all the other soccer fields that they're completed. I think that was the 5 through 8 that are done? Or the
5 through 8 are done,
five-
yes.
Yeah, yeah, so we worked on that today, got that all done, and we're doing some overseeding, and then we're looking at starting our fall cleanup, and the leaves are still green. I don't, it's usually like down at Tanner's, there's, the whole hillside's covered, and there's hardly any, so it's just odd, so hope it comes down before it snow, otherwise we're gonna be, our storm sewers are gonna be in some trouble, so. So yeah, we're working on that. Crews will be going through some plow training next week. They were up in St. Cloud the prior week doing that, getting ready for that. So, and really enjoyed the tour tonight with the council and the mayor and our administrator and down at Tanner's. It was,
Yeah, that's great.
actually, it was perfect timing, so.
Yeah, it's, yeah, appreciate you
I-
going out there, and it was.
Looked a little
I miss you. I
shocked
would have loved
when-
to have been out there when you guys.
Well, I was a
were,
little
but
shocked when they brought up all these fall hazards because there's none there.
I thought it was pretty clean.
Yeah,
So
so, stand for any questions if anybody has anything. I'm more than happy.
Mormon shacks. What's
They'll be here on November 15th. They're all ready to go. So,
you know, we have that little rink or the rink over at Northdale, right? There's not a shack there, is there?
yeah, there's a warming house there. Yep,
There
yep,
is.
yep,
Okay.
yep,
Guess I never.
yep. The 2 temps we put at Walton and then one at East Side.
Okay.
So-
But there is an actual
They
shack.
should be here November 15th. We'll get them in place. They're from Satellite, and they worked great the last 3 years. This will be the 3rd winter, I think, Julie?
Yeah, I don't think we used them much last year, did we?
No, well, we didn't have weather that really
Didn't have
cooperated.
any
It's
good ice.
50 degrees in January and then 20 below and then 40 degrees, and it was one of the
Get ice and we can
Poor-
do a little
Every
ice
other day.
fishing.
skating season, so hopefully this year it's, I mean, I'm hoping it's 75 and sunny all the way through, but it's not gonna be. We know what's coming, so, but no, I'm open for any questions or anything else. Happy to answer.
Kari?
What can we do for you?
Oh, you guys are great. You just did it, so it was great. It's ask questions, and I'm more than happy to help at any time. And I'll just touch on this again. I appreciate, Mark, your efforts on the field stuff. You've done a great job with it, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course, you had to go on vacation when we got 4 days of rain.
Well, I'm sorry. We got it up there too. I was up on the
He
North
looks at
Shore,
the
so
forecast. He knows what's going on. All right. Thanks, Jeff.
thank you.
Julie, what do you have for us?
Thanks, Commissioners. Yeah, so I just have the update for the month. I just want to welcome Kari and Jen. It's been a pleasure getting to know you the past few weeks. Looking forward to what we can do in the future. Just to touch on the farmers market that wrapped up on Wednesday, October 11th. We had really great fall weather, which kept the market really busy until the very end. So that was good to see. I know the vendors were happy with that. We had Mr. Egg Roll. He was a new food truck addition, so we were happy to add them. I was looking for more for next year, so we'll be doing it in the off-season, looking for more food trucks as well. And a nice job to Nathan Timmons, who's our market coordinator, and he coordinates both the farmers market and the indoor market, and he does a fabulous job, so thanks to him again. We've got an MEA Break Amped Up Entertainment event, and that'll be this Thursday. 10 to 11 o'clock, and that is the Rad Zoo. So they're bringing their Radical Reptile Adventure Program. And that's on Thursday. I know it's supposed to be nice, but apparently it's still a little too cold for them to be outside, so we're moving them indoors on Thursday. The morning's supposed to be a little chilly. So FYI on that, and that is free to the public. So we're hoping for a big crowd. We've got another Red Cross blood drive, and that will be held on Friday, October 20th, and that is with the Oakdale Wellness 50 Plus and the Make Good Oakdale Lions Club. And I believe there's still openings. Maybe Jan knows, but the last I checked, there were still some.
I don't know for sure.
Okay, just a couple days ago they were. So if anybody's interested, check on redcrossblood.org. Another big event coming up for us, we've got the Flashlight Pumpkin Hunt, and that will take place on Thursday, October 26th, and that is from 7 to 8:30 at the Discovery Center. Always a really popular event. We've got maybe 25 openings, I think, left. So I'm assuming that will fill up eventually here. Lots of different activities. We've got balloon twisting. There's a dance party, games, pumpkin decorating, make your own slime, glow necklaces, and a bonfire are all part of the activities
Is there
this year.
an age limit on that pumpkin?
Yeah, well.
You're too young, Steve.
Asking for a friend.
We'll take volunteers if you're open that
Oh,
night.
is that all right?
We're also doing a pumpkin carving contest, which is in conjunction with the Flashlight Pumpkin Hunt. The pumpkins will be displayed during that event, and then the attendees vote on their favorites. So prizes will be awarded for 3 categories, and that is Best, Spookiest, and Bumpkin Pumpkin, which is the young carvers under 12 years old. So that's always a really fun event. We've had some great pumpkins carved the last couple of years. We've got an Artist of the Month, painters Susan Solomon and Mandy Madsen. They're the featured artists through November. And Susan Solomon's painting of a bunch in a snow-covered Oakdale Nature Preserve is on display, and that piece was selected by Courage County last year as their featured holiday card. I included that little picture in the packet, so that was kind of fun to see. And sales of their artwork is an online fundraiser to support the Twin Cities Spinal Cord Society. So check that out if you're interested. We've got our Art Discovery Fair coming up on Saturday, November 18th, and that is from 10 to 3, and we are full with 21 vendors. There'll be live music from the Two Sisters, and that'll be 10 to 12:30. Lots of different products for sale. We've got paintings, cards, floral, plushies, jewelry, clay creations, candles, and more will be available to purchase. So stop by the Discovery Center to purchase some art. We've got our indoor market. We'll be back at the Discovery Center, and that begins on November 11th. We'll have 9 markets total this year, with plenty of shopping opportunities running through the final date, which is March 23rd. So mark your calendars for that. We're on the lookout for rink attendance. So we're currently taking applications. The season will run, well, hopefully sometime in December through February, always weather permitting, as we know, right? Applications are due by November 20th. So if you know of anybody who's interested, send them our way. I know we're looking for approximately 8 to 10 applicants this year. Okay. And then lastly, the Discovery Center display room will receive a much-needed makeover this fall. So we're looking at different hands-on activities to bring in for kids. Will we be replacing some of the taxidermy items? So we're excited to give that room a makeover this fall. So that is all I have. If anybody has any questions, I can stand for that.
Question.
Sure.
On the work plan.
Yes.
What's going on? with
Yes, so the plan was to meet with the council in November to have our dinner and go over that. I believe that's been pushed back now to February.
Oh,
So, yep, and I will, I'll let you guys know when those dates are finalized, but that's looking like the plan right now.
Okay. All right. Thank you on that.
So we're still moving forward with it. It was just pushed back a little bit because of the holidays.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Any questions for Julie?
Only because you mentioned a program on November 11th. Is there anything that you're aware of that's celebrating Veterans Day?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that you're aware of. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll have commissioner comments. Glenn? anything on that?
You really want to start with me?
Sure.
How much time? No. Kari and Jen, thank you for volunteering. I'm not the new guy anymore, so. I want to make one plug for the Maplewood Oakdale Lions Club. We are having a Halloween decorating contest. It cost $5. There are prizes in 3 different categories. You'd think I would know what they were, but I don't. Check online, our Facebook page, whatever, and get your entry in before October 25th.
Is that a house decorating
Yeah.
deal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are those addresses published for, like, public to go see them all?
They will be the day after the closing date. So, we did the Oakdale citywide garage sales this year, and our social media people are amazing, and they figured it all out, so.
Good. Thanks, Jan.
Yeah, under the Oakdale Wellness 50+ category, and the Twin Cities Wellness, we have a fun event coming up on Halloween, which would be the afternoon, from 1 to 3:30. It is line dancing to Thriller. And we do have an instructor that is very good. We used her this summer in July, and a lot of people had fun and requested to do another event like that. So we are. I think it may be full because it is inside. We have to limit the number of people, but you can always go on Wellness 50+ Twin Cities and Meetup and sign up. There is sometimes a waiting list that if we find people aren't going to make it, we can go to the waiting list. But we just do a lot of fun events, and I think this one is really a good one.
When it's
so.
full, is that 50 people or less, or what do you usually get on something like that?
Well, depending on the room size, I think this one's probably more like 25 people. I don't know for sure, and it might, I don't know that it says in there, but it will say in Meetup what the limit is.
Great.
So, but yeah,
Thank
it'll
you.
be a fun.
Mark?
No, nothing today.
Nothing? Kari?
I'm just so excited to be here with y'all.
All right.
And just put me to work.
All right. Great. Jen?
I'll just reiterate what Kari just said. Just excited. Thanks for being so welcoming.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I got a couple things. Welcome to you two. I had the opportunity, thanks to Councilman Morcomb, to meet with the Boy Scouts a couple weeks ago. And they were starting fires, learning how to start fires and everything. But the reason I was there is to meet with them about what they'd like to see with the parks and everything. And they had some good ideas. And one was they'd like to see some bike paths somewhere, both dirt and paved. You know, that's something we can think about. Volleyball, of course, was one of their things. They did mention pickleball. And one thing was kind of cool, I thought. They'd like to have maps somewhere of where all the parks are. You know, I don't know where you can just go pick up, maybe something like they have little libraries in yards or something, you know, just put maps in there for where our parks are. I thought that was kind of a neat idea from these kids. Yeah, and then one had mentioned trails by lakes, so, you know, we don't have a whole lot of lakes other than Tanner's, but maybe it's around some ponds or something, I don't know. But the point was that they were involved and they were really getting into it, and they had great questions and great answers on this, so thank you for having me out there, and thanks Boy Scouts for having me. And then one other thing that I'd like to do as we move into the winter, like we've had our parks tour. I'd like to plan at some point a night this winter when it's, the rinks are going on, and have a rink tour, basically, kind of like we do the parks. Or another idea, now that we have 7 council people, is have a night where we'll have the commission is at the rink night type deal. So if you have any questions about the rink, we'll have. It's
a great idea.
2 people at East Side Rink, Walton Ice Hockey Rink, Walton Pleasure Rink, Northdale Rink. We have enough people to cover that, and we'll just sit there for an hour, say we're gonna be there 7 and 8, if anybody wants to come in and, see what's going on. So, I'm gonna implement that at some time. I'd like to do that this winter sometime, so look forward to that. So I think it'd be kinda neat if
Yeah,
people could
great
come.
idea.
Like it.
So, and that's all I have, so thank you, and we'll
Can I-
move on.
Sorry, can
Yep.
I piggyback on your maps comment?
Yeah,
I guess I would also say something similar that, so I made a bucket list item for me and my daughter to visit every single playground in Oakdale. And you go online and you look at the website and, it looks like it's fantastic and it's an interactive map, but it is really tough to see just at a glance which parks have a playground. You have to click into each park and see if it's listed as one of the amenities and scroll through all the bullet points to see if it's listed on there. So just something that was a little more user-friendly on the interactive side. I know in all of your free time, but something to take a look at.
good, thank you, thank you. Anything else? Councilman Morcomb. Hello.
All right. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. It's good to see everybody filling seats up there. A few things, updates from the council. One, as everyone's been saying, congratulations to Kari and Jen. Thank you for serving. I will say, and I know you all have known this, but there's more applicants for these open seats than we've had in many years, right? There's a lot of interest in our parks. There's a lot of desire to see them grow and used the best way possible. So we're excited to have you on. And hopefully at one of the future commission meetings, you can kind of share some of your background in the comments so people can understand coming from out of state, different perspectives, having families, backgrounds in Parks and Rec. There's a lot of good reasons why the council chose you to serve. So appreciate it. Next, I will say thank you to the Oakdale Pickleball Club. I was really pleasantly surprised to see how many people are involved and want to see this have a place in Oakdale. And it's come up time and again, Steve, and you know it, right? And it is timely, even though Willowbrook in our second park is still in the concept phase. These are the conversations that help guide us on what do we do next. Because the worst thing that could happen is we put a lot of money into a park and we just don't use it, or you don't see the public using it. So at least after tonight, I feel pretty confident there'd be a lot of use of whatever we put in for pickleball.
Right.
Another update is more development in Oakdale, right? No surprise. So we just approved a site plan revision for just north of Highway 14, and that's in front of the Forefront building. So there'll be an Aldi going in there, as well as a coffee shop and some other buildings. And I know a lot of the people, I live on 31st Street, real close by. A lot of people are excited to see those things happen. So that's a positive update. And the last thing I'll share is we did do a tour of Tanner's Park. And part of it was pickleball to look at the courts there. But it's really a holistic look that the council's taking on Tanner's in general, right? It's kind of a gem in the city. It's not getting used nearly as much as we feel it should be getting used. So we're looking at the playground equipment there. We were looking at the building itself that hasn't been used to its full capacity in many years. And how do we draw people down to the site? So it's something that, as a commission, we'd love to get your feedback on. And if there's a chance in the future to take a field trip yourself, just like you did, Steve, right? And go and see what's there, what could be done better. And in terms of capital spending, it's a fairly large park, right? Outside of Walton, that might be our second largest park, Jeff. Would that be true?
Yeah, it's close.
Yeah. So it takes a lot of time to plan for something like that, but the feedback that you all have are going to be really important.
Thinking of, and I agree, I think that's a wonderful park, and one of the planning that we did with our little workshop, if at all we can do a on-site commission meeting, that would be a park I'd like to do it at, to start it out with, and just have then we'll get a lot of ideas from people, I would think, and then we can guide us all on what needs to happen. So, yeah, I think that's great.
Sure.
That's great.
Good, and just as a follow-up to the pickleball group too, I think for the council, I know we talked about restriping the tennis court or even possibly converting the tennis court at Tanner's to pickleball courts. It would just be good for us to have the information on what that would cost to do when we talk about budgeting and planning. But I will stand for any questions the commission has for me. Janet?
Only because you mentioned that structure at Tanner,
Mm-hmm.
that building. I mean, I guess one question is, what kind of shape is it in? Because like you've mentioned being with Boy Scouts or the Cub Scouts or Girl Scouts, is it possible to make that structure so that that is usable by some of those clubs?
Yeah, well, and we were down there, and there's a plaque on the wall commissioning it in 1994, so it's about 30 years old. And structurally, the building is just fine, right? There's no concern. There's it's perfectly usable. I think part of it was connecting it to security, like Mr. Koesling had said. We want to make sure it's safe. We want to make sure it's well lit, and it's going to be a good space for people to use. But the council today was down there just talking about the same thing. It could absolutely be used by nonprofit groups, it could be used by a business. It just has to be a good fit, right? Because it has to be a partnership between the city and Parks and Rec and all the people using it.
Yeah, I think it should get some use.
Yeah.
Anyone else? I like to say a great, cool sign up behind us now.
Yeah, I like that sign. I wonder how many people notice, but it's, new sign on the wall, looks sharp.
New sign back there. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That should do it. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Well, I want to ask a question. Did you have any question? Not Andy, but.
No, I just came to listen to see if there was any updates on what was going to be happening to the park next to the Gulfview Park.
Oh.
Gulfview Avenue. It's a very underutilized park. It's huge. It's beautiful, but it's underutilized. And when it was first created, we actually had an ice skating rink, but the city wouldn't put hockey nets, so the kids didn't come to skate. So that's the big parking lot there is supposed to be hockey and ice skating in the winter, but the city never put, they actually said no to the hockey nets. And that was back when my kids were little. And then it's like, and we were told we were gonna get like a gazebo, possibly tennis courts, and it's just, we got a nice little, structure for the kids to play on, and people do use it. We've got a huge amount of community that come and play volleyball up there all summer long and things like that, but, I mean, Oakdale just doesn't use it. It's just kind of lost. It's like it'd be perfect for football and soccer for the kids and everything, but, I'm just afraid that, especially with Mr. Mulcahy wanting to retake that spot over and then relocate the park, it's just because of lack of what the city has provided for people to use.
Yeah, we went to Gulfview earlier on a visit, and I think we all agreed we wanted to pump that one of the top of the list in the upcoming CIPs that we take a look at some improvements up there. So yeah, we're
Yeah,
yeah.
and I hadn't seen anything, and I tried to scroll through, and I did see that, I think 2027 sand volleyball courts was a possibility.
Yeah. So, and that's still in a phase that we haven't got to yet. But yeah, it's on the radar, and we really enjoyed our visit out there. So yeah.
And there aren't any talks about relocating it somewhere else because of Mulcahy on what he would like to develop there?
I'm not aware of
I
anything
haven't
like
heard
that.
anything further on that.
No,
I can't comment.
no.
I know there was something in the wind, and then it just sort of went away, so I don't know if that's something that maybe Councilmember Morcomb knows more about it. I don't want to put you on the spot, but you may know more about it than we do, so.
Well, and I'll say, and I'm still new to the council, but there's been a number of residents in that neighborhood that know that there's someone who owns the old Gulf land that has interest in developing. And there's been attempts in the past, but at this point, there are no permits pulled, there are no development plans in the works. So it's just kind of sitting there, hanging out. Yep.
Thank you.
All right,
And I
thank
know-
you.
And I know this fall we did use Gulf View for soccer for Oakdale Athletic Association. And I'm probably going to use it for T-ball in the spring as well, so.
Oh, wonderful. I'm in and out. My husband and I have businesses all over the country, so I go in and out all the time. So I'm back maybe every 6 weeks, so I kind of miss.
Are you looking for an assistant? During the winter months.
Do you need us to tour those places?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry I missed you earlier, that's my fault. All right, okay. Now, motion to adjourn.
I'll motion.
Motion second?
I'll second.
Second, all in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you very much. and we'll see you next month.